Welcome and thanks for joining us for this episode of Scope. World Vasectomy Day was celebrated in Lae on Friday the 18th of November at the Maristopes office. Maristopes officers shared how difficult it was to address myths surrounding the male birth control procedure, while some successful clients shared their stories in the hopes of encouraging more men to consider vasectomy.
World Vasectomy Day falls on the third Friday of November every year. For this year, it was observed on Friday, 18th November. The event is observed annually to raise global awareness on vasectomy as a male-oriented solution to prevent unintended pregnancies. Maristopes Lae Outreach 1 coordinator Alex Wamingi outlined the challenges they face when conducting their vasectomy program, saying most men believe the myth that a vasectomy will lead to a decrease in strength and sex drive.
Outreach team 1, team 2 and staff, also ringing me plan talk sabi, oh, ika 10 pa already finished, 20 pa already finished, and now we sa put plan na, okay schedule, and now we sa travel. So kind of CBM on the ground also make important role too, like making awareness on the ground. Talk out the work vasectomy. Eventually all said.
In Moresby, Menyamia district has the highest number of clients.
Staff, talk sound, you got kind of same staff. Why not you come like simple service, then you can come and plan the beginning staff. Give every merry blue staff.
The coordinator further said satisfied vasectomy clients help to spread the word in their communities and dispel the misinformation associated with the procedure.
Also go talk sound and Arlo Pablo come and plan the beginning staff. Talk sound, you got kind of same staff. Why not you come like simple service, then you can come and plan the beginning staff. Give every merry blue staff. So time will talk now. All people are make it decide. Also say the experience lang all. Look at me staff was now.
Vasectomy is a quick, safe and simple surgery. It is less expensive and easier to recover from than tubal ligation, which is when a woman's fallopian tubes are tied. Family Health Services Coordinator from the Moresby Provincial Health Authority, Patricia Mitiel Gahanau, said family planning is a challenging area for public health in Moresby Province. While they are not stopping citizens from having children, they want partners to decide on the number of children they are able to support. Couples are encouraged to be realistic and factor in the standard of living, which is very costly.
Thanks, Nadisla, but me like to thank you, Lord clients, for the understanding they have. Now come forward, performing this procedure, vasectomy. It is a very big challenge. A big challenge, especially in the culture of Papua New Guineans. In our country, time you talk to okay decision the house and I'm not thinking public but one the Papua New Guinea. Time sa vasectomy awareness now. We talk Alex Maristopes. Talk kami now we've seen the fruit of death. I'll just give an example of COVID vaccine. As status will come, now we struggle through with encouraging more man to vaccine. One kind, COVID in the stop. In the long run, people will just realize that yes, they should get the vaccine. One kind of same vasectomy, implants na family planning. Vasectomy, talk. Me play bin talk. Time me play starting. School blow me play, now me play white grass. We've been talking about implants, vasectomy, and tubal ligation. Now, plenty man marry, only educated, they understand what is right for them. They're coming out together. And I'm not surprised about Minyame. Minyame won't play hard play area strength. You must got guts, you must strong man or marry, but you talk family planning inside of Minyame.
In Port Moresby, Maristopes PNG also observed the day. MS-PNG Center Channel Manager Melissa Agigo stressed that vasectomy is a safe and sensible choice for male contraception.
Vasectomy is one of the two methods that can be taken up by males, and vasectomy is a very effective method, family planning method that can be used by males to prevent unintended pregnancies.
In In the last 12 months, Marie Stopes PNG has implemented 1,684 mobile outreach clinics, reaching 125,184 people, delivering over 2,123 vasectomies across Western Highlands, Moresby, Central, Madang, Simbu, Eastern Highlands, East New Britain, and the National Capital District. With funding support from the Australian government, Marie Stopes PNG has been implementing the Family Planning and Sexual Reproductive Health Services under the Partnering for Strong Families project in Papua New Guinea.
When we come back, shifting perspectives on women's leadership. Welcome back. In the discussion around political representation of women in PNG, there are many strongly held beliefs that prevent them from getting enough support to have a voice in politics. Papua New Guineans' perspective on women in leadership in the country leading up to the 2022 national general elections were captured in 13 digital stories produced by the UN Women to stimulate conversations around women in political leadership. These stories have been shown across the country in communities and on media platforms. Reactions to these stories were captured and shared during the conference held on Friday, 18th November 2022 at the APEC House in Port Moresby.
The work to shift an individual's perception for the good of a society is no easy feat. It is one that challenges strongly held beliefs, and this is always confronting. A group of like-minded people tried to find another way of challenging those beliefs through stories of community champions told by Papua New Guineans for Papua New Guineans. 13 stories were co-produced by the storyteller themselves, UN Women and Queensland University of Technology. Communications consultant with Women Make Change project, Serafina Aupong, elaborated on the production of the films and the community dialogues.
After we produce those stories, how are we then going to disseminate them? So we started disseminating through a launch that happened in April this year at the National Youth Year. And we had partners together, we had the media gathered there, and we told of the process of collecting these stories, and we also showed the stories there. And then we saw some of the initial reactions that started coming out of them.
The storytellers took it to the communities to continue showing the films to gauge reactions. Stories covered people with a variety of backgrounds spanning 12 provinces, highlighted the inspiration, challenges, and impact of the leadership the women had in their communities. They also highlighted the impact men had when they supported and created space for women to lead.
A lot of the audiences that we screened to were amazed. They were very emotional too, based on the stories that came out and how the storytellers told the stories.
She added that it also made them realize that most of them have spoken out about change in equality for women in leadership.
I'm so grateful that there are more women out there who are doing a lot of things that their stories are not told. But few of us have told our stories. I had and seen our pictures. We had fun in Juaka taking pictures. And taking pictures told a lot of stories.
There were other women also who shared their experiences during the conference, and apart from the community dialogues, the producers also have stories running on TVWAN and FM 100. The stories capture the journeys of 9 women and 4 men, all change makers in their respective communities and fields, because the stories dealt with sensitive information before they could be told and captured. A safe space was created that allowed the storytellers to reflect on their individual journeys.
Story 2 and 1 something we hardly me working. Most of us do those small things that is, we think is insignificant, but it has a lot of power.
In July 2022, the stories were piloted as community dialogue tools in 9 provinces. The feedback from the audience showed that these stories have a lot of potential to create change.
UN Women in QUT got us to see the real key points of what we actually did. Because I wear a lot of hats at different levels. And my story is like an ocean, but how they can bring it back into that fine things, and you realize where you stand, the key or the strength in your leadership within the community. And that was something that was challenging, but it was also a learning curve for me.
Establishing this empathy, respect, genuineness, comfortability around the work that we have done is, for me, very, very fundamental to the whole process. That 91% said that they learned something new, and that's a very, very strong indication from the evidence. Supporting women in leadership is a very strong team that came out strongly from the analysis as well. And then the strong impression that was gained by those participants also was that women are leaders.
Women are capable of creating change. From a male, 30 years from Simbo, I thought women are not good enough in leadership roles, but even a slight opportunity given for them can bring about positive results, because women are usually persistent in things they do. Women have the potential, but it's just that they are not given the chances to show their capabilities.
According to the facilitators, this community storytelling by the women leaders will continue as a groundwork towards the 2027 national general elections, when a greater presence of women is envisioned to get into parliament.
After the break, government acknowledges serious need to address lawlessness in Papua New Guinea. Welcome back. The government has targeted 5 key priority areas in the 2023 money plan. Law and order has taken precedence with a budget increase. This budget delivers an extra 401 million kina into our law and order sector, the largest increase in funding in PNG's history. Senseless killings, tribal fights, and armed robberies continues to plague parts of the country. The Treasurer delivered in his budget speech that this increase in funding is to address lawlessness holistically.
Law and order issues have been a hindrance to development in the country. Deputy Prime Minister John Rosso said the government has placed law and order as a priority in the 2023 national budget. Adequate funding has been provided to the police force, including the law and justice sector.
To get a complete cycle of conviction, you need, from the start, the police force to make arrest. Once they do the arrest, then you need successful prosecution. We do not have adequate skilled prosecutors or sufficient prosecutors to the point where they can get prosecution. I'm hard looks in prosecution. Sometimes paperwork or something, go straight. Or magistrate rouse him no technical errors. So we need to have and make sense this law prosecution. It must be upskilled and done properly.
The government has targeted 5 key priority areas. This budget delivers an extra 401 million kina into the law and order sector, the largest increase in funding in PNG's history. Senseless killings, tribal fights, and armed robberies continue to plague parts of the country.
We have committed ongoing funding to the police to continue this level of recruitment. We will lift the size of the police force from 5,000 in 2022 to over 7,000 by 2026. Mr. Speaker, we are providing a 50% increase in funding for the judiciary, increasing funding from 154 million to 232 million next year, before a planned increase to 310 million, which they're requesting for 2024.
The lawlessness in Medang province was briefly mentioned in Parliament recently. While it emphasized the point of increasing funding in this sector, it put a sour taste in the mouth of members of Parliament from the point of bad publicity by the media. Madang Province in the month of November alone recorded 22 murders, including the beheadings that occurred in the Transgogol area of Madang district. The media published stories and graphic images of the dead, which included women and children. Member for Karamuyi Nomane, Francis Alua, deemed this negative press because it gave the perception that the PNG government did not have a handle on its law and order issues.
It's not somewhere in the third or fourth page, it's on the front page of both the National and Post Korea. And then there are other stories about pertaining to law and order and crime in this country. Mr. Assistant Speaker, as you know, the media is a very, very powerful tool. And the way they're flying their trade, do create a very bad perception about this government. They're portraying to the people of this country and the whole world that we are not managing law and order situation in this country.
For the most part of 2022, Madang Province and parts of the Highlands region made headlines with senseless gang killings, armed robberies and tribal fights respectively. The recent killing of a policeman in Hela was extensively reported by the media. In NCD, a family is mourning the tragic loss of its son, murdered in cold blood by a teenager in public. The media has been able to get the family's concerns out to the authorities to address the matter, as it had done with the case of the late Senior Constable Nelson Kalimda. Amidst this, the media has once again been put on the spot for negative reporting.
Main media companies, the print medias, who have daily headlines, we don't intend to impinge on your right of editorial and the cover that you have every day, but have some sense of responsibility to our nation. You can run the stories, but run them behind cover. Run them second, third pages. There are enough news around. Today we had 7,000 tourists visiting Rabaul, for goodness sake. These are good stories to run, instead of constantly painting negative, because we all live in one house called PNG. This house cannot be destroyed, it must be strengthened. We don't intend to dilute the role of media, but we ask the media to also have a fair responsibility to the country they make money for. Thank you.
The Prime Minister said the government is looking into laws that govern media and journalism accountability.
We're looking into these laws, and early next year some of these laws will be promulgated and will come before this Parliament in terms of defamation charges and penalty for defamation, in terms of media accountability to correct reporting and not based on hearsays, not just on the formal medias we have, but in some of the social media platforms. These are being looked upon so that the writer or the spinner of information is actually spinning correct information in society and not fabricated or not fake, not false, not inferences or inferences that can carry greater lie and false than truth. Those areas we're looking at to make proper, correct, factual information being disseminated in public space.
President of the Media Council of PNG, Neville Choi, responded to the MP's concerns, saying that besides playing the roles of watchdog for good governance and being a voice of the people, the media, especially in PNG, has the more important role of highlighting instances of gross abuse against our country's laws in the list to generate discussion or to bring to the attention of authorities areas which need urgent attention. Mr. Choi added that the media is highlighting areas which need national leadership attention and stands ready to work with national leaders to improve the lives of our people.
And that ends Scope this evening. A kind reminder to apply simple measures to prevent transmission of the coronavirus. Regularly wash your hands with soap and water, cough or sneeze into your elbow, and exercise social distancing. If you are feeling sick, please stay at home. You can also call the COVID-19 hotline number for more information or assistance. Thank you for your company. Bye for now.